B to B or not to be? That is the question.
Hello and welcome back to the Transform podcast. B2B or not to be, that is the question. Today we're in the Transform studio. We normally talk all things marketing and design, but this week we're going to be talking about websites. I'm Nick Crosby, the senior multimedia designer here at Transform, and today I'm joined by...
I'm Daniel O'Connor, director here at Transform. So I guess we'll open up this session and my first question, and the question is actually to you, the listeners here, and that question is, are you 100% happy with your website? Is your website doing everything that it should be when you are not working, when you are not in the office, when you are not in business hours, when you're asleep, when people from all over the world might be looking for your product, your services, or whatever it may be that you're selling? So Nick, what constitutes a good website, and what does a website need to do in able to work for a business?
Yeah, that comes down to like a few things really. I think it really does depend on obviously what you do and what you want out of the website. But I think a lot of companies tend to think of their website as either a brochure website or but as you rightly said, Dan, it's your shop window, and I think it's a very important thing. And I think people need to constantly realign what they use, how they utilize their website for like their targets generally as a business. You know, if you're like, for example, if you're like a consultancy business, for example, which they may think that their website might not have, because it isn't an e-commerce website, they don't necessarily need something that's incredibly robust. But, if part of their sales pipeline is we want 20, cold to warm leads a week coming from the website, well, that's a goal. That's suddenly a goal, and you have target driven data on top of your website that you can come back and go, right, okay, is it doing this? Are we getting 20 spam emails a week? And then once you're exceeding that, and you go, oh, actually now we're getting 100 leads a week through the website, we actually maybe need to change how we're doing that. Because now it's going from, lady in accounts can just quickly stifle through the ones that are good and bad to, we actually need a team of people to go through these and chase these up. Or maybe that you need to tier them and you actually need better leads as opposed to just ones that are not necessarily worth your time. So I think it's important to really assess what you want out of the website first and foremost, because I think a lot of people don't align their sales with the kind of the website marketing, as it were. They kind of just see it as some funky pictures with their names and stuff on it with some copy, but it is an incredibly effective tool to bring stuff to your website, to your business.
Yeah, picking up on something you said there, actually, I had a conversation with another business owner that is not a client. It wasn't a pitch meeting. It wasn't a salesy meeting. It was a chat over a beer, actually. And I was having a chat about this person's or this company's website. I won't mention company name. And he was saying to me, and his argument back to me as to why he doesn't feel their website is important was because he said they get about 200 to 300 visitors a month, but they do all of their business face to face. They only sell face to face. He said, I just need to get in front of people, and that's what people buy is me and the business that way. So then instantly my mind goes to, so you get 200 to 300 visitors to your site a month. How many inquiries do you get? And the guy said, through your website, none. We don't get any inquiries. Yeah, right. So instantly, their website is not working for them. But also, if, let's say, 1% of those visitors, 200 to 300 visitors, did turn into an inquiry, and so let's say 2 to 3 inquiries per month or leads per month, and they convert 50% of their leads, that's at least 12 extra clients per year, which would probably double or triple that person's revenue. They were a consultancy, a management consultancy actually, and that would probably double or triple that person's revenue per year, just by getting the messaging correct on their website to lead that person to come and buy. And the reason I say that is because we had a recent business trip. We had to go over to Paris, poor us. And we were meeting one of our clients from Brazil in Paris on a Sunday night. The day before a 4-day conference was due to begin. And we were trying to find a nice restaurant to go to in Paris to have dinner with our client on the Sunday evening. And the first thing I did was go to TripAdvisor to look at the reviews. So I trust TripAdvisor, or I trust what people are saying on there. That's a website. And I'm looking to find a business to then go to their website to look at the menu and so on and so forth. And it was a really difficult process because a lot of restaurants don't open on a Sunday evening in Paris. Which is really strange, I found. But we did find a restaurant that was nice, and we went for dinner and the food was great. But I only went there because of, one, a visit to TripAdvisor, and then two, a visit to their website subsequently to go, okay, final sense check, that's okay. Whereas I could have ended up somewhere that looked terrible, as in the website, and I would never have booked that restaurant. So, and it's the same situation for this gentleman's business. Do you, and this is a question, open question, do you go and look at a site before you make a decision when you're going to buy something or book something or eat somewhere or so on and so forth?
Well, yeah. Interesting you brought up restaurants, actually, because it's, I've been a kind of consultant for some restaurants in some times about the kind of digital stuff that they do. And I always find it fascinating when I ask, how often do you change the menu on your website? And they go, when we remember to is normally a go, or none at all is more. But what you said about the data is incredibly interesting, because I was like, well, how many people visit your website, and then how many people open the menu PDF versus how many people book, call up and book or book online to go to your restaurant. And it's like, that's an interesting metric, because if 2,000 people go on your website, only 50 of them open the menu. That means, one, your menu's probably pretty hard to find. Or if it's 2,000 people go on your website and 1,500 of them look at the menu, but you're not getting any bookings a week, well, there might be something wrong with your menu.
Exactly.
maybe your menu isn't striking a lot of confidence.
Or you're not refreshing it. So they go, 6 months ago, I ate there. It's the same menu. I don't want to eat the same thing.
Yeah, the sample menu thing annoys me with restaurants, actually. Because you're just like, this is kind of what we sometimes serve. Because my wife's incredibly picky eater. So she's like, she'll get her heart set on something. When she goes to a restaurant, she'll be like, I'm going to have the pork chops when we go there. I definitely want the pork chops. And then we'll go there. And then like, we haven't had that. We haven't had it on the menu for 2 years. And like the logo's changed and everything. It's like, that was on the website, Also, if you're a restaurant and you are a business owner and you're wanting to view the website, a Facebook page is not a website.
True.
It's you posting a low quality iPhone photo of your menu on Facebook does not constitute the same as a website.
There was a particular Chinese takeaway in Frome in Somerset that does that, but it is my favourite Chinese takeaway. But trying to look at their menu is a bloody nightmare. So if you're watching this, please sort that problem out.
Oh, yeah, Chinese restaurants kind of get away with it. Do you know what I mean? Because sometimes I go into if you go to a proper dirty Chinese restaurant and they've got the faded menu, like the pictures of the faded menu items on the wall, I'm kind of like, yeah, this food's going to be amazing. Some kid doing his homework on the counter. They're like, oh yeah, this is going to be some top tier Chinese food.
It comes out not looking anything like the picture.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, no, it's so important to just have as much information as you can on your website. But with all that information that we just kind of talked about is having a journey involved and knowing what that journey is. A big thing that we've come up with, come across with lots of clients is they will say to us, they'll come to us, or we've approached them for a website, and they'll go, oh yeah, and we just want a website. We need a new website. We've been told we need a new website, and we're like, okay, so what's your preferred sales journey? What do you want the user to do on the website when they land on? And they go, well, I'll just look around. And it's like, okay, but what would you like them to do? If you could get them to do anything, what would you like them to do? And it's defining that. And I know lots of businesses, it's difficult to define, certainly in B2B where it's a lot more, where there isn't necessarily a tangible product and it's maybe more consultative or service based. But you still got to figure out what you want out of it. Like, what do you want them to see? Do you want them to have a look at a case study that's really relevant to your industry and go, they know their stuff. Mm-hmm. Here's a contact number. We definitely want to get involved. That's a legitimate journey. And again, that might lead to X amount of target numbers of people getting involved. But have you got an e-commerce company? What's your minimum spend? What do you want your average minimum spend for the customer to be? And if you don't know that, then it's like, okay, well, how are you going to show people things that are like make up a 30 quid basket or something like that if everything on the website's £10? Mm-hmm. It's kind of looking at the numbers that you have, your targets, and then kind of going, how do we add the website in to help the targets? It doesn't have to all come from one place. But it's nice if the website becomes a pillar of your sales arm, as it should be, really. Mm.
And ensuring that it works all the time. And I'm going to refer to another situation I had recently. So I was trying to, unfortunately, I live in a property that's not overly sustainable. It has an open fire and it has an oil burning heater or heating system. There is no gas in my village and I can't put PV on my property. And I was recently looking to save money by bulk ordering coal, by bulk ordering logs or whatever it may be. And I went to several websites. One of them, I got to the order for half a ton of coal to be delivered on a pallet to my doorstep. Went to put my address and details in, accidentally put Somerset instead of Wiltshire. I've recently moved property. And then the website wouldn't allow me to change Somerset to Wiltshire. And it wouldn't allow me to check out because the address was wrong. So their form was broken. So when I was about to spend a few £100s and it wouldn't work, I got frustrated and went, okay, I won't spend money with you then. And I switched off. So they lost a sale because they're not ensuring that their website is working to the best of its ability or at all. I couldn't complete my transaction. So how many other people may have experienced that day, that week, that month? How much money are they losing or potentially losing because their site is not working for them when they're asleep? I was doing this at 9 o'clock at night, 8, 9 o'clock at night. And it's the same with the oil industry. Sorry, I'm not picking on energy providers or people that supply oil, gas, coal, or anything else. But
I just put my bills at them.
Very true. But it's a nightmare trying to get comparisons out there, and if they make it difficult, if the user experience is difficult or stressful or time consuming, I certainly disengage, and I think the majority of people do or would, because we're so used to first world problem, having a very easy user journey in buying things, acquiring things, procuring things from businesses or people or whatever it may be. Although I do not advocate Amazon.
Well, yeah, I mean, but it is, they are part of the, I suppose, solution and the problem in that regard, in the sense that they've shown everybody that through, one-click purchasing on really easy to use apps and very over-optimized apps, the big tech companies have kind of really drilled down in that, what's the optimum user journey. And the problem is when a website doesn't have that, or a business doesn't have that, especially e-commerce, it's really noticeable in e-commerce. When there isn't that kind of seamless journey, you're going through like 10 pages for a basket or something like this. Or we've talked about this before, but we've had a client we won't name, but their kind of business has a very long structure, but we've been trying to get them to change it for ages, where there's been this 11 clicks to get something anywhere resembling a basket, and wondering why they don't get any kind of leads on the other end. And it's like the user journey for any website is so important, because as soon as they land on your homepage, it's the countdown until they switch tabs or switch off or go to another app or whatever it is. So it's holding the attention is hard, and you can't do it in a way that's almost grotesque, where you're kind of just putting flashing images everywhere, because that's almost the opposite, where you just go, oh God, and you turn off. Yeah. So it's making it easy to use and find it, especially in B2B stuff, where a lot of procurement or services, where people are finding it, it's often a person that one probably doesn't know a lot about that service. They've just been told, oh, we need to find someone to do this, or find a service that fits this, or find people that can do this. And they'll Google search something. Hopefully your SEO is pretty good. And then, they'll have to find something on the page where they go, oh, these guys understand this is exactly what I need, or this is in the ballpark of what I need. I need to make a call or send an email. All that information needs to be very quickly accessible and easily readable and, easily understandable by someone that potentially might not necessarily know the full in and outs of your business, but is in need of the service that you do. So making all of that seamless is like, well, that is the tricky part in it, but it's something that should be tested as well. That's a big thing. Like when we recently did a property website, one of the lovely ladies in the office was looking at changing houses at the time. She was looking at renting a different place, and so she was on Rightmove and all these kind of other property websites a lot. So it was like, well, here's our perfect test person, the person that's been using all these websites. So it was like, find a place, so here we go. Here's, no help, go. And then she discovered that one part of the search didn't work properly because of the way she looked at it. And I was like, well, that's interesting. I wouldn't have thought of it that way, but this came up because it's like, okay, that's interesting that she searches that way. We would have never have spotted that if we'd have not tested this way, because everyone else just kind of used it as expected. So yeah, testing your user journey on people that might not necessarily know what to look for is always a great way to do that as well.
And I think that leads on nicely to testing and evaluating what others are doing. What are your competitors doing that you maybe not? Because technology moves on, the way in which we buy things or acquire things moves on. So, if your website is 2, 3, 4 years old, what was your website doing then that it could be doing now? Or what are your competitors doing now that you were doing 4 years ago, and what are they doing over and above and beyond that? And I think personally, and I'd love to hear your take on this, but in my experience through multiple sectors that I've worked in, but now work alongside with the clients that we are lucky to serve here at Transform, I think a website. I've seen some websites in my time.
Yeah, me too.
A website has a shelf life of about 1.5 to 2.5 years, because things change. Your business evolves, your proposition evolves, your messaging evolves, you grow, you are acquired, or whatever it may be. But often it's the last thing that people think about, and the website just gets left there as a thought in the past, because we've got a website, it's up and running, it's doing what it does there, but is it actually doing what it should be doing? So how long do you think, I've given you my opinion, how long do you think a website will last?
Yeah. It's a great question. I think it does differ, I think, depending on your kind of business. I think if you're trying to be an incredibly I hate to use pompous LinkedIn words, but like agile business, where you are constantly evolving and you want to be seen as at the forefront of things, then yes, definitely be that kind of 2-year cycle where it looks new and refreshed and is using the latest versions or the latest kind of web trend sort of things that you want to add into your website. But I think more importantly is like, does your website hit your goals? Is the main thing. And as soon as it doesn't, or as soon as it starts to dip, it's just like, well, okay, we need to reevaluate this because our targets are different. Because, I don't think many businesses have the exact same target every year. The graph shall forever go in the up direction. So, as soon as the website stops doing that, which, like you say, is probably around that sort of 2, 3, 4 kind of year mark. Again, it does depend on the business. But if you were a man in a garage selling buttons on Etsy, there's like, fine, a Squarespace thing probably did you for a bit, and then there was that first move where you got your first, maybe space where you could buy more stock in. Cool. And then you've moved up to a proper website that can start taking up to the sort of 1,000 orders a month sort of scale, and you've got proper printing and that sort of stuff, and then the button industry goes booming, and then suddenly you're part of a large warehouse network where lots and lots of shops are storing their lots and lots of them are storing all of their inventory, and maybe you need to have a website that can integrate with that huge warehousing system. So now suddenly it's like you've jumped from Squarespace to, you know, maybe something like a Webflow or like a low end WordPress to like something very bespoke and very, you know, but it has to be reliable because suddenly you're doing 10,000 orders a month. And that, if you're doing that kind of volume, that thing can't go down for a day because you're gonna notice some pretty big gaps in the Excel spreadsheet at the end of the month. And
do you have the appropriate hosting to be able to
completely
facilitate 10,000 visitors a day, month, year, whatever it may be?
Yeah, completely. So yeah, it should scale with you, and should always be ahead of where your scale is. You should never it's like you shouldn't buy the website that fits. You should buy the website that's a bit bigger than what you probably need, because then you can grow into it, and then like you would
when you were at school.
Indeed, yeah. It's the big coat with your name on it, you know. But yeah, it's not the website that fits necessarily. It's the website that's got room to grow in it. You know, it's like you buy, you know, if you've got 10 employees and you buy an office, you're not buying an office that fits exactly 10 employees. You're going to buy an office that fits maybe 20, so you've got room for expansion. And you know, the same can be applied for a website, I think.
100%. So you get a brand new website, or Nick, you build a gorgeous new website, and the client launches that website, or we would launch the client's website for them that day. Why should they, or why should they not engage in SEO for that website?
Well, they should. They definitely should. And I'm not just saying that because, you know, it's better for us if they do that. It's better for the whole thing, basically. I mean, a lot of people, when they have new websites, I mean, very few people that come to us generally start as a brand new website. They normally have some sort of old website. But SEO is important for like a multitude of reasons, and our resident Google foo person, Harris, could probably speak higher on this. But, you know, everything from all of the old links that were there, they all need perfectly redirecting. There's lots and lots of keyword research that we can do to add to the copy that adds better things for rankings. There's so much stuff like site health as well, like that stuff that's constantly monitored. So it can be stuff like people up, you know, when you hand over the keys, or people from your business start uploading blogs or start uploading case studies, and they start uploading really humongous pictures or something like that, and stuff like that can affect the SEO score because suddenly there's heavy loads on the website. But you know, getting from, you know, say your business is on page 4 of Google, which is, you know, unfortunate, but you're basically in no man's land. Anything past page 2 is pretty much doomsday.
Well, they say best place to hide a dead body is page 2 of Google.
Yeah, it's because you just, you know, it's really hard unless but that also comes down to branding stuff as well. So how people have presented their names and how they do things. But yeah, having all of those keywords in the website ready, it's so, you know, if someone just types a version of your name, or they type in your service or your service area or your service region or an adjacent service, and you still come up in all of these results, all of this little bits matter. And it's one of those things that it's kind of, you can't do it for a week and say you've done it. You have to do it over a long period of time, because it involves changing, and it involves keep looking at the data. It's very data driven. So you go, oh, okay, 10 websites are ranking for this one thing, but no one's ranking for this thing. So let's go for this thing as well as that. So we have, you know, there's lots of that. And there's, you know, 6 months down the line, you're like, okay, we need to make some adjustments. And then, you know, another few months go by, let's make some more adjustments. And then suddenly you're on, you know, for your page 4, you're on page 2, you're on the bottom of page 1, and then you're and then now you're at the top of everything. And your competitors are not doing SEO and wondering why they're way below you in all the search results. It's definitely a thing. It's incredibly valuable, an incredibly valuable tool. And it also just gives you so much data to go on. You know, if your sales team says they don't have enough data, then it's like, do have a look at this. And you know, you can figure out a lot about why your customers do or do not choose you from all of that data.
Is SEO something that a run-of-the-mill business could do themselves on their website?
Well, I mean, you could say yes, but you could say yes to everything in that regard. But I don't think anyone could really give a good amount of time to it, especially if they're trying to run a business, or they've got other daily things. You know, for example, you can't say to a social media person that you have at your business to say, oh yeah, you're running SEO as well. It's like, well, that's its own thing. You know, you can't be expected to do that. I mean, this is a plea to all social media managers out there that get the horrendous CVs that said they've got to do about 70,000 things. They've got to be a designer as well as a website builder, posts 48 times a day, and you know, all this sort of stuff. But
we see that often, don't we?
Yeah, but yeah, you can have a go at it, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. You know, especially if you're trying to exceed your targets and you are trying to build something. You know, you can maintain and, you know, to some extent, but you know, if you want that number one slot and you want to beat out your competitors and you want to be growing the business and you want to be expanding the business and, you know, redoing to much larger, more ambitious targets, then yeah, you've got to invest in people that really know how to do it and will nail it for you.
I guess it's a slightly loaded question because we know the answer to that, and we know that it's nigh on physically impossible, because like you say, it's not just the on-page, off-page technical knowledge that you would need to have to start to even begin an SEO program. It's then the content and the things that you would need to, the assets and the things that the keyword search and the things that you would need to create to then meet the criteria to start ranking you up and up and up. And I was having a conversation with one of our wonderful clients 2 days ago, and it was around SEO and them wanting to engage SEO across both of their websites. They've got two businesses that are integrated, like our three that are integrated. And the question came across the desk of how long do we need to run an SEO program for? And I had to be really honest and say, once you pop, you just can't stop. You have to keep going, because it might be that we can get you to page one of Google within 6 to 12 months, dependent upon the area that you work in and how difficult those words are to rank for, etc., etc. But if you stop, so you hit page one in 12 months and you stop that day, you will very quickly start to come back down the rankings.
Yeah,
so
we've seen that before.
We've seen that, and again, won't mention company names.
No, but yeah, it's tragic as well, because they'll, you know, because I think, you know, it's once you're at the top of the mountain, it's like well, it's fine, we're at the top. It's like no, it's you've got to keep.
It's a constant battle.
Yeah, the mountain's getting taller as you're climbing it. You know, it's like you got to keep on top of it. Otherwise, so you just drop down. And you know, like all those things that I was saying before about, you know, or there's new words that come out, or people are searching this, or they're looking for adjacent services that you offer but are maybe called something different now, or something. All of these sorts of things. And if you're not on top of, you know, keeping all those things in there, or having new pages added to your website that keep their stuff, or pillar pages or content on the website that keeps those things refreshed, it's death. You just go down.
Like CSR is now ESG.
Yeah, completely. Yeah. I think there's a conversation where people have been adding AI stuff to it, where they try and fill in the void with AI content. At the moment, it has mixed results because I think while Google hasn't explicitly said it does, but it doesn't seem to, like, it can kind of detect it in a way there's patterns to it, especially if you don't rewrite any of it. So yeah, just kind of getting ChatGPT to write you a load of stuff doesn't necessarily work either. No. And also it kind of doesn't really know what to do, and also you just kind of populating a website with a robot, which kind of doesn't really speak to probably the glowing personalities that you have in your business. You know, not to mention the knowledge.
No, 100%. So within a website, whether we build it or not, Nick, you know, we build in WordPress, we build in Webflow, we can do things bespoke, whatever clients require, really. But what would you say in terms of ease of use for I don't know, a marketing manager or a marketing executive or the head of HR in a business? How easy is it for them to maintain their site in terms of updates and changes? It might only be copy, content, imagery. And this is whether we build a site or not. How easy is that for somebody to do?
It depends on the competency of the people that you have, really, because it can be really complicated and it can not be. It depends on how well built the website is and how malleable malleably, whatever that word is.
Malleable.
Yeah, the developer has made those made the parts of the website. So if they're kind of pre-built pages that they can use to, if they want to add another page or add blogs or something like that, here's like one that's been pre-designed for you, so you can add it and make it in fairly easily. We use Webflow for a huge amount of our stuff because we find for the scale of sites that we use, it's incredibly easy for people to use. They can't break the site. But that involves us building all that back end and then giving them the keys to the bit that doesn't break. But in terms of once it's built and, if they want to add new things or whatever, whatever it may be, if you want to keep fresh or consistent, or if you've got something big like a sale coming up or a big event and you want maybe a landing page and stuff, it's like, well, you could try and get someone in your own business to try and do that, and you might luck out and they might be slightly okay at WordPress or something like that. But I always think it's better if you get someone to design something like that, especially if you want it to hit hard or you want to sell a load of tickets or whatever the particular special thing may be. They are easy majoritively to maintain, but I say if you're trying to do anything consistently over long periods of time, it's probably better that someone else takes that off the plate, because then you guys aren't having to worry about it. I think marketing is such a it's been spoken about broadly in other things that we've done, but I think marketing is also seen as such a, I don't want to say afterthought, or not or maybe even an easy thing that people can do alongside their existing jobs. And it's
not the case.
So nuanced. There's so much to do on it.
Yeah.
All of the website, they do all of the marketing, and they can do
all of the content, all of the video, all of the
everything.
It's impossible.
One person doesn't exist. If they do, they're well more expensive than
yeah. If you do exist, you have a job here, ready and open and waiting for you.
Yeah, but yeah, it's not perfect by any means. But yeah, I think outsource what you can, because then it's going to be good. It's going to be consistent. You can obviously put your own flavors on it, your own spins on it. You can add something and then they expand it or something like that. You can, it's an open dialogue with any good agency.
I think it goes back to, as well, it circles back to what we were talking about earlier in the conversation around how old the website is and how user-friendly your website is. And I'll refer to a particular case of some good friends of ours and people we know that have a website that is about 3.5, 4 years old now. It's a WordPress templated website, which is now unsupported. And I think they've had 3 or 4 different marketing people, marketing managers, leave the organization over the last 4 years. And every time somebody new comes in, they give them the keys to the website. We warn them, do not touch anything in the back end of the site. We did not build this website, by the way.
Do they press update all at the
every time they press update all on the plugins for said website? And it was always about 5:30 on a Friday night, and we get a call to say, website's down, we've broken it, can you please fix the website? Yeah. And then we're working on that site until 8, 9 o'clock, undoing all of the wonderful things that they've done, even though they are forewarned. And it is because that site is so old and so unsupported by WordPress itself, Google and everything else, that it just doesn't work and it doesn't rank. It doesn't ever climb the rankings. Even if you were to SEO optimize the site, it's never going to work. And they know that they're currently in the process of changing it. I cannot wait to see the new version. But yeah, it's a tough one at times.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, on that, I think it's like, platforms are, we can talk about platforms all day, and they are ever changing. There will be, this might not be relevant in 2, 3 years, as we said with the website things. New platforms come up and other ones die off. But on WordPress, I think it's been a thing that's been supported for so long because it's kind of taught, I suppose, in many kind of web development kind of courses as a good platform. But it's I always feel like it's been kind of developed on rickety foundations and then built upon and built upon and built upon. It's never ever really felt super stable when we've used it for stuff. It always feels a little bit glitchy, or you've got to play with. Oh, that's just a thing that it does. And also that the things that you said about, once you hand the keys over to the client, okay, it's fine to say, some developers, as soon as they hand the keys over, that's it. The door shuts behind them, and then that's, they've made the website goodbye. And then with the companies that think, oh yeah, we can handle it from here, and, they might have used WordPress once or something to build a blog in the early 2000s. But yeah, and then suddenly they're like, oh, update all, great. That sounds like a good thing to do. Oh, that's destroyed lots of things. Okay, cool. How do I change this picture? Why is the picture breaking everything on the front page? So those are the things. So like I said, we currently use Webflow, and I like that for a lot of things. It's not perfect by any means, but I don't think any platform is. But what I like about it is the keys that I hand over, they can only change the things that we know they can't break. So, the text on the website and the pictures on the website are all very much clickable, and they can just change it kind of like they would if they were building on something like Squarespace, even though the back end might be complicated. Or if they want to upload a blog or something, it's just kind of fill in a format, a picture, press send, and it's done. And I think business owners would feel a lot more comfortable with stuff that aren't necessarily, front-end developers or people that have, experience with that as a function. And they're more comfortable letting people use stuff and go, oh, okay, well, I feel that they could upload the blogs, or they could add something here and there, knowing that it's not going to break anything, as opposed to, say, if you have something like WordPress where they're like, it's like, okay, please don't.
Okay, question. I'm going to put you on the spot, Nick. Why and when? Top 5 reasons.
Okay.
Why and when should somebody or an organization consider building a new website?
Why and when?
Or why or when?
Why or when? Well, I think, it could correlate to lots of things. I think majority if the website's just kind of old, I think that's just a general good excuse to just let's do that. If they're doing a rebrand, I hate it when brands change their logo but they don't change the website. So you just see a different logo in the top, like left or right hand corner, and that's all.
When it's the perfect opportunity.
When it's the perfect opportunity, you're just like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
So if they've done a brand refresh, definitely it's like you might as well do it all at the same time.
Launch with a bang, make an impact.
You're painting the front door, you might as well paint the living room. It's kind of and then I think kind of going back to what we said earlier, is if it's not hitting the goals, if it's not doing what you want it to do, if it's not being everything, if it's not representing your company anymore, if it's not, actually, it's quite the amount of websites that we've seen that even have like people that don't work on there anymore. They're like, oh yeah, that's
Jenny. She left 4 years ago.
Yeah. Oh, that's Jerry. He's on the front page. Oh, where does he work? Oh, he doesn't. He retired 10 years ago. It's like, oh, okay. Well, why did you do this picture? Oh, it's a lovely picture. It's just, you need to just constantly be on top of those sorts of things. And I think nowadays is more, I don't know, there's more checks and balances with that sort of thing now than there ever used to be. I think there was a period where you could kind of get away with having a bit of a rubbish website for a bit, because a lot of business was still done, I suppose, as the way it had always been done. And that a lot of that still does happen, but I think a lot of people like to double check people on websites.
Yeah.
So, if I've approached you, Dan, or something, and I've, at a conference or whatever, and I've given you a business card, I've given you relative versions of Patter and said, oh, we can work together on this project or something. And you go, yeah, I really like the way we spoke, but you still got to do your due diligence, and you go check out the website, and and you go, well, he said has been operating for 15 years, and it looks like he had the website for 15 years and hasn't updated it since. Maybe this isn't the person I want to be working with right now.
This is an interesting point because, proven fact, I'll try and figure out where this figure or stat comes from, and I will upload a link to it. but 80% of a decision-making process is already made at point of leaving the website, if they are going to buy or not. And so a person, so one, we make a judgment on another person, a car, a website, a business, a friend or whatever it may be, an acquaintance that you're introduced to within 8 seconds. You make that first initial judgment within 8 seconds. So that's the key thing. You need to grab people as soon as they hit your website. Have you got the relevant information? Have you got a nice video that explains who you are very quickly? You've 15 seconds. We are so-and-so. We work in this area. We are friendly. We are approachable. Come and talk to us, kind of thing. But then the majority of people will go through that entire buy-in process and cycle up to 80% before they engage with a company. And then it is that final touch point to go, yeah, okay, they are friendly. I do like them. I do trust them. They're not going to rip me off. Bye. So I think if you haven't got that right, that again goes back to what we were saying at the start. Is your website working for you when you are not within business hours? Yeah. And that's how I operate. We are busy. Everybody is busy nowadays. And with cost of living and everything else, it is about trying to make those quick decisions that benefit you or save you money or help you out, or you just trust who you're buying from. Trust to do it's not always who or what is the cheapest. It's do I trust where I'm purchasing this from? So I think for me and for any business owner, I think you have to have that right from the outset on your website. Is your messaging correct? Is your proposition correct? Is your branding nice? Are you looking trustworthy and approachable and friendly? Because if you're not, I wouldn't buy.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've also had instances where people, if people are looking to, sell the business in X amount of years as well, which, is a plan for lots of business. They want to get it to a certain, they don't necessarily want the infinite growth thing. They want to get it to a certain level and cash out, and that's fine. But the amount of, if you want to do that, you need to kind of get your ducks in a row, in the sense that if you're having those discussions in a board meeting about the price of your, the price of, or the worth of your company and all the rest of it, having that nice presentable website gets you in that conversation a lot earlier. But it kind of intrinsically adds value, to that final figure that gets presented across the, on the check that gets slid across the boardroom table. We've had instances like that with clients. We obviously can't name them, but where it was a smaller business that ended up getting purchased by a larger business within, was it 9 months?
9 months negotiation, 12 months to the day for announcement of acquisition, actually going through, so 7-figure sum. And
he even said to us that he said the conversations in the boardroom when this was being discussed, he said, the website made them look a lot bigger than what they were, and it wasn't lying. It was way presented. It wasn't. We weren't. I didn't copy and paste him in a
team of 400 people
in a jacket loads of times to make it look like loads of people work for him. But it was just like, it was a very slick and very impressive looking, really incredibly modern, more modern than any of the other ones in that space. And because of that, they were like, well, this is the person we need to buy. This is the person. This is the company we need to acquire to move on our goals. So it just shows you that. It matters in more ways than you might necessarily think.
No, 100%. And I'm going to take this back. Well, firstly, I want to say thank you, Nick, for your time and our chat today. But I'm going to take this back to the original question. And I guess that is, are you, as a business owner or somebody that potentially wants to start your own business, are you 100% happy with your website and what that does for you and your business? And if you're not, please feel free to give us a call for a completely open and honest conversation around what your website is doing at the moment, and what it's not. And it won't be a sales pitch. It will be a conversation. So thank you ever so much. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Nick.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Free to be or not to be? That is the question.